here we are. I lost track of which leg this is. Just that it is day 8 of our marathon trek back from Buenos Aires, the opening round of the 1954 season of the historic sim racing organisation's Gold Star. We've flown our Black Square Analog King Air 350 all the way from Buenos Aires, Argentina, up through Chile, through Ecuador, Honduras, into North America, through Raleigh, North Carolina, up into St. John's International on the coast, Canada, and then from there we flew the penultimate leg through via a North Atlantic track, I should say, straight across the Atlantic into Shannon International in the Republic of Ireland, where we find ourselves right now. So we are sat parked at the small general aviation small ramp, and we are about to do our pre-flight checklist. It will be the last pre-flight checklist of this trip. I am quite excited about it. Just a 90-minute flight, this one. I say just 90 minutes. The last few was 6 hours plus each. So we will do our pre-flight checklist. We will get underway and we will be landing at Bristol Airport. It is Tuesday the 18th of April, which gives us Wednesday, Thursday, Friday and Saturday to do our very first pre-qual lap. Haven't turned a single pre-qual lap yet, and then prepare ourselves for the 10-lap sprint race, which will be on Sunday. I just went blank trying to think what the date will be on Sunday, and for the life of me it's just eluding me. So anyway, doesn't matter, enough procrastination. Going to do a lot of looking down into my left footwell as I look at my open knee board, which unfortunately you can't see. I need to figure out a way to get that captured and into the stream. I can capture the window, but it's blank. I think that might be an OpenXR thing, but that's me speculating, or joining the dots on something I read in Discord on a forum and completely conflating it with something else and getting it completely wrong. So it's probably got nothing to do with OpenXR. But anyway, when I try to capture it, it's just a black window. So I need to figure out a way to get that in there. So I'm going to start the pre-flight checklist on the knee board. Once we then have avionics power applied and have the TDS GTN 750 powered up, we can then switch to going through the checklist on there. I don't like using the Microsoft default co-pilot assisted checklist. It just gets finicky sometimes. So, and it doesn't do the auto challenge confirm in this aircraft as it does in, say, my Just Flight PA-28 Warrior 2, where if I just look at a gauge or something that I'm supposed to check, it recognizes it and it knows that I've checked it. I have to manually click the check, so I may as well do it in the GTN 750. But anyway, let's start. Let's get underway with get this show on the road. So currently I'm looking at my flight briefing, so I just need to take care of a little bit of admin on there first. Let's see, where are we? So we are estimating that our takeoff fuel or our block fuel is 1,882 pounds. We actually have 2,022 in just in case. Maximum fuel we can carry is 3,611 pounds, but we don't need that. Estimated payload of 460. We have 407 on this flight. So let me just fill that in. And let me... Our flight will take us from Shannon. We're then going to take the high airway through, where are we? Oops, skip to the wrong page. We'll then go via, yeah, we're going to go to Babij 3 Alpha. That's our standard instrument departure. So Babij direct to FIFA, and then the FIFA 1 Bravo arrival at Bristol. So we're going to be departing runway 06 here in Shannon and landing hopefully ILS runway 09. So trip time should be 1 hour 16 minutes. We've got 5 minutes of contingency fuel, 27 minutes for our alternate fuel, which will be taking us, if we need to halfpenny, so pound, is it halfpenny lane? Anyway, Wolverhampton, my home airfield, I should know it. We then have like a final reserve of additional 30 minutes, so 2 hours 18 minutes of fuel in total, and 20 minutes worth of taxi fuel. So let me sign that. And before we are ready to get our clearance, we need to get some power in, so let me just get through a lot of clicking to get to the checklist in the airframe flight manual. Okay, here we go. A few more clicks. There we go. So the before starting checklist. Our pre-flight inspection's complete. We've got one ground handler marshal there at 11 o'clock. I don't see... Thank you. I don't see another walking around the aircraft, but there could well be one, so we just need to be conscious of that. Our emergency lights are off. It's broad daylight. We don't need them at the moment. The air stairs door is locked, so the emergency exits are unlocked. Our cabin loading is complete, and our seatbelts and harnesses are secure. In my case, my VR headset is secure. The parking brake is set. Control locks are removed, and our flight controls are also free and correct. We'll come back to that later. Standby crossfeed valves are off, and auxiliary is at main. And they should be at auto. Yeah, aux transfer is at auto. Yeah. And pilot circuit breakers are all in. I'm going to check the co-pilots twice. Every so often we pop 2 fuses on that one when we slip into cut off instead of high idle during the left engine startup. And we also have our pilot circuit breakers are in. The battery bus is at norm. The gang bar is down. External power is off. Auto ignition is off. Auto feather is off. AC inverters are off. Bus sense and bus ties are at norm. Engine anti-ice is off. Anti-ice actuators are at main. Starters are off. Auto feather we checked is off. Landing gears are down and locked. Exterior lights are all off. And ice protection is off. Prop sync is off. Propeller levers are in ground idle. Propeller levers can get, so power levers are in ground idle. Propeller levers can go to full forward. Didn't it go all the way? No, it didn't go all the way. There we go. Condition levers are at cut-off, flaps are up. Friction locks are set, trims are centered. Oxyman dropout is pushed in. Passenger oxygen is pulled and on. Cabin pressure mode is in pressure, and rudder pressure, rudder boost and electric trim are on. Cabin master is off. Cabin lights are off and cabin accessories are as desired. We're going to leave them off. We're going to turn on the fasten your seatbelt sign and no smoking. We don't have any smoking or vaping on this flight. Thank you very much. Vent blower is at low. Cabin temperature is as desired. We're going to leave it alone. It should come to nice 21 degrees C. We're going to bring the bleed air to environment off. Bath blower we're going to leave as it is. Electric heater we're going to leave off. Oxygen pressure is about 1550 pounds. Alternate static air is normal. Co-pilot circuit breakers, one more check, are all in. Lighting master is going to stay off, lights as desired, and check that the pilot and co-pilot microphones are set to normal. Windshield wiper is off. Battery master can now come on. Going to check that the battery volts are at 23. Test our annunciators. Observed. We're going to leave the brightness as it is and check the fuel quantities. Looking good. Need to reclean my lenses, they're a bit blurry. We can now start our engine. So one more check to see that no one else is wandering around the perimeter of the aircraft. We're going to bring the beacon lights on to warn we're about to start our engines. We're going to check that the prop air is clear on right number 2 engine. Clear prop. Turn off the caution lights and the master warning light. We're going to move gen ties to main close at night. Right starter can now come to start. We'll watch the NG as it goes past 12%. We can introduce fuel. We're going to wait for it to get to 20%. And we're going to move the light condition lever to low idle. Watch the ITT. Ensure it stays below 1090. Just around 900. So check. Check the oil T's and P's are within limits. They're in the green. We can bring the starter off once we pass 50 mg, which we have done. The right DC generator can now go to reset then on. Reset then on. Right DC gen is off. We can check the generator load is at 10 to 50%. Check the right gen volts are at 28. Battery amps are positive and charging. Right condition lever can now come to high. Idle seat did it again. That's what I'm talking about. Right there. That is likely going to pop 2 fuses. So let's wait for the engine to spool down. Let's move the right generator back to off. Okay. And try that one more time. Right engine. Using the controllers, they're just so finicky. I should have just stuck with what I normally do and use the mouse for the right condition lever. Right engine to start. Climb past 12% NG, wait for it to get to 20. Introduce fuel, low idle, watch the ITT, make sure it still stays below 1090, does. Oil T's and P's are still in the green. We're past 50% NG, so the starter can come off. The right oil and fuel pressure annunciators are extinguished. Right generator is going to again go to reset and then on. Right DC gen is extinguished, generator load is at 10%, 28 amps battery, 28 volts, battery amps are positive. Right condition lever to the high idle, use mouse. Gonna make sure the left prop is clear. Clear prop, that means you stay where you are, mate. Left starter can now come on. Watch the NG get to 12%, then to 20%. Left condition lever can go to low idle, watch the ITT, make sure it stays below 1090. Oil, T's and P's are in the green. Left generator can go to reset and then on. Left DC generator has stayed off because I've left the starter on. So let's do that again, reset then on. Left DC generator is now off, gen loads are at 10 to 50%. Mouse doesn't come to stop interfering. Left gen, 28 volts, battery amps are positive. Right condition lever can go to low idle, we'll use the mouse. Let's check. Okay, we are good. Engine started. So the before taxing test we could do now. So let's see, the fire annunciator. Cycle observe the annunciator. Okay, so fire detector test complete. Annunciators were observed. Let's test the gear light. Check and restore warning. Check. Gen ties can now go to open. Gen ties annunciators are illuminated. Let's make sure the center volts match the battery volts. Battery volts 20, 23 to 28, 23. Center volts match. Gen ties can go back to norm. Bus sense to test. Gen tie annunciators are illuminated. Bus sense to reset. Gen tie annunciators are extinguished. Check the triple fed is at 28 volts. Bleed air valves coming open. Come on. Right, we're cooperating. The mouse interfering again. Right bleed air valve open, left bleed air valve open. Temperature mode can now go to auto. It's really finicky when it doesn't want to cooperate. Duct temperature can stay as desired. Electric heater is going to stay off. Cabin master can now come on. Cabin lights can go to dim, and we'll turn on cabin accessories. Gyro suction is in the green, as is pneumatic pressure. AC inverters can now come on. To check that the AC bus and actuators are extinguished, that we have 400 Hertz as the frequency and 120 volts. Weather radar, make sure it is at standby. It is at standby. Now the avionics master can come on. Let's check the remote gyro. We are showing 50 degrees, just shy, and we are showing 50 degrees, so it is slaved and aligned. We can now set our flight instruments, bring the TDS to life, disconnect autopilot, and put the trim back to centered because it likes to put us into a descent. Okay, let us load the fly plan. It has locked. Locked segment, so let's store it. Now let's edit it. Let's remove the locked. That's it. Let's load our departure. We are on an A-bag. 3 Bravo. Let's load our arrival into Bristol. We are on a 09, ILS-09. Let's just double check the approach. Let's go our vectors. Okay. Set. Let's get our didn't activate the flight plan. Okay. Let us turn on sensors for fuel planning. And speed en route. Get to our checklist. We've done the before starting, we've done the engine start, and we did the before taxi. So we will need to do the before takeoff run up, but before that, time is 17:11. Power on 17:05. It says 18:05, but that's local time in BST. Let us get our clearance. Take down the ATIS details first. Not hearing them. Let's try that again.
Shannon Airport information, Golf 1700 Zulu. Wind 11 tree at 11. Visibility 6. Sky condition, few clouds at 3,500 feet, 5,000 feet scattered. Temperature 18. 2.10. Altimeter tree 0 decimal tree 0. ILS runway 06 in use. Landing and departing runway 06. VFR aircraft say direction of flight. All aircraft read back hold short instructions. Advise controller on initial contact UF Golf.
Let's hear that one more time.
Shannon Airport information, Hotel 1700 Zulu. Wind 11 tree at 11. Visibility 6. Sky condition, few clouds at 3,500 feet, 5,000 feet scattered. Temperature 18. 2.10. Altimeter tree 0 decimal tree 0. ILS runway 06 in use. Landing and departing runway 06. VFR aircraft say direction of flight. All air...
We get our clearance.
Shannon ground GBELV 174 IFR to Bristol ready to copy.
GBELV 174 is cleared to Bristol Airport as filed. Takeoff runway 06 climb and maintain 7,000 feet. Departure frequency is 131.15 squawk 7453.
So climb 7,000 feet, contact ground 131.15, squawk 7543.
GBELV 174, did you hear my last transmission?
I did, I will respond.
GBELV 174 cleared to Bristol Airport as filed. Takeoff runway 06 climb and maintain 7,000 feet. Departure on 131.15 squawk 7453.
GBELV 174, read that correct. Contact ground on 121.8. Good day.
Okay, ground 128.8. To 1.8. So we can request our taxi, but before we do that, let's do the before taxi checks. Airport elevation is 4,046 feet, but we're going to set our cruise altitude. Our first clearance altitude was 7,000. So that's 7,000 set. So nose wheel is centered. Parking brake is set. Electric trim actuated, pitch trim wheel is at takeoff position. Check. Electric trim cycles. Your damper is coming on. We're going to set nav. And we're going to set climb for now. We're going to set 7,000 feet so that the autopilot doesn't put us into a descent. Your damper check, rudder boost cycle. Annunciator observed. Electric trim cycle, annunciator observed. Heddenberg, let's move you 30 degrees left. Check. Autopilot engage. Select heading mode. Observe the yoke. Observe the flight director. Heddenberg 30 degrees right. Observe the yoke. Observe the flight director. Autopilot disengage. Reset trim. It's set for the climb. Okay. Autopilot is disconnected. Engine anti-ice coming on. Anti-ice annunciators are not illuminated. Engine anti-ice. Actuators are at main. Engine anti-ice. Leave it as required. It is enunciated. Power levers are at idle. Auto ignition is armed. Enunciators illuminated, advancing the throttles to 17%. Observe. Ground and ignition, or the auto ignition, left off, right off. Power levers back to idle. Ignition. Annunciators illuminated. Auto ignition can come off. Annunciators are extinguished. Now hold the prop gov test. And advanced throttles beyond 16,000 RPM. And we'll watch the props. RPM cap at 16,000. Release gov test. It goes above 16,000. Throttles back to ground. Idle. Release gov test. Can't manipulate the propeller levers without using the controller, and I don't want to risk accidentally knocking into cutoff again. Electric heater is off. This is before takeoff. We'll do that shortly. Let's get our taxi clearance.
Shannon Ground GBELV 174 with hotel ready to taxi IFR.
GBELV 174 taxi to and hold short of runway 06 via taxiway Alpha cross runway 06. Contact tower on 121.8 when ready.
So that's going to be taxi and hold short of runway 06, taxiway Alpha cross 06 and 121.8 when ready.
Taxi to and hold short runway 06 using taxiway Alpha cross runway 06 GBELV 174.
Okay, we're going to move from here. The ground handler has disappeared. So let's move from here so that we can do our run-up check. Let's release the brakes. Right rudder. Apply some throttle. Release the brakes. There's definitely something going on. Getting interference. So I'm going to sort this out. And we'll pick this back up at takeoff. Okay, that could have been surface that we were running over. Okay, let's parking brake set. Electric heater is off. Generator loads checked. Battery amps charging. Exterior lights, set them for takeoff. We'll put the tail flood on, the strobe, takeoff and landing lights, taxi. We're going to put the ice lights on, the nav, and we'll put the recognition on. Ice protection, we will put on the prop anti-ice, vent, pitot, stall warning. Engine anti-ice is already on. Auto ignition, we're going to arm. Auto feather, we're going to arm. Engine anti-ice is already on. Transponder can now go to altitude. Weather radar can now come on. Prop levers are at full forward. Condition levers to high idle. Annunciators test, observed, parking brake release. So we're heading 06 Alpha crossing 06. Power levers moving forwards. Do this gradually. Release the brakes. Airspeed alive. Track the center line. V1. Rotate. Positive rate of climb. Gear up. 120 knots. Flaps up. Banking left for our departure profile. 200 feet. ...300 feet... for channel and contact Shannon.
Shannon Center GBELV 174 is passing 1,800 feet, climbing
There's the
11,000
runway
feet.
at our 10 o'clock.
GBELV 174 Shannon Center altimeter 30.30. Continue to Abaco as planned.
Okay, we're airborne and en route. So let's do our post-takeoff checks. Power levers, we'll set them to climb. ITT is looking good. Propellers, we will move to about 85% this time. Check. Prop sync is on. Engine instruments are all in the green. Exterior lights, landing lights can come off. Ice protection, we can bring windshield ice to normal. Check the cabin pressure is climbing. We're passing 5,000 feet. We're going to get a call soon to say that we can continue our climb. Off time 17:45.
Speedbird 180 descend and maintain flight level tree 60.
So we're a little bit behind because of the technical problems.
Shannon Center Delta 4 is at flight level tree 75, climbing flight level tree 80.
This should
Delta
now
4
be
Shannon Center,
R4.
continue to
Coming
Echo November Echo
soon,
as planned.
as we're 200 feet below our assigned altitude. (100 feet).
Speedbird 180 descend and maintain flight level tree 60.
Okay, we're cleared to 11,000 feet. That's why the call didn't come in. Having to reset the game. It gave us a different initial altitude post our takeoff clearance. So we would have soon got an expedite our climb call.
Speedbird 180
PCs are just
descend and maintain
so
flight level tree 60.
temperamental, so our flight into Shannon was perfect. Everything worked perfectly, no issues with the system. So I need to try and remember what settings I've
Speedbird
got,
180 descend and maintain
and
flight level
also
tree 60.
what and if I do differently the next flight, so that I can root cause analysis when
Descend
troubleshooting.
and maintain flight level tree 60.
And I'm
Speedbird
thinking the only
180.
thing I did a few things, and you should never do more than one change. So I changed the cockpit screen refresh rate from medium to high, put it back to medium. I also, not in the VR settings, but in the PC settings, I think, yeah, I don't think I've changed anything. But yesterday, the flight into Shannon, we did on anti-aliasing TAA. Now I've changed it back to DLSS, which is random because the flight before that, it was on DLSS and we had huge stutters. And then I've just gone back into the Pimax tool to make sure that fixed foveated is on
Speedbird 178, contact Shannon Center
balance.
on 132.15.
It was off.
Good day.
And to set the, I think I've set the field of view to small. I can't remember, I might have left it at medium.
132.15 Speedbird 178. GBELV 174, climb and maintain 17,000 feet.
Expecting that call. But I'm wondering if the
Climb and maintain 17,000 feet, GBELV 174.
Because this was the last flight and it was only going to be a 90-minute flight, I wanted to record the departure in replay so I could go back and do a cinematic departure. And I'm wondering if it was just because the replay tool's on, and it didn't matter that I turned replay off. I'm wondering if once it had been on, that was it. It just caused issues. But all of this is guesswork. It's nice, though. Still, I'm not going to let it dampen my spirits. It is nice to be at our final leg. We're here, we're back, Western Europe. We've flown, how many hours? Something, well, the flight plan.
GBELV 174, please expedite your climb 17,000 feet.
Expedite.
GBELV 174, contact Shannon Center on 132.15. Good day.
132.15.
132.15 GBELV 174. Shannon Center GBELV 174 is at 11,600 feet, climbing 17,000 feet.
GBLV 174 Shannon Center altimeter 30.30, continue to Abago as planned.
Abago is our first waypoint. Once we finish this departure, we're still in the departure. But yeah, so
Speedbird 178, climb and
the
maintain flight level
itinerary on the
360.
way out was going to be 21 hours total. Flight time, or block time, I should say, not flight. On the way back, our flights have been like 5 hours, 6 hours since, and I think that we are now on flight number 7. So let me just count it in my head. I'm going to count it out loud just for you, but yeah, it's for you. It's not for me. There's no way I'm counting out loud and on my fingers. So we went Buenos Aires to Chile to Ecuador, Honduras, Raleigh in North Carolina, to St. John's International, Canada, and then North Atlantic track to Shannon. So this is flight 8. So we're possibly already over 21 hours worth of flights. We're almost up to 24 hours. So I've done in-flight simming before, when I was originally doing my virtual piloting with British Airways virtual on VATSIM. That was all commercial airliners. I wanted to do regional jets. Originally had bought a King Air module, but it was nowhere near as good as this. None, I say none, hardly any of the switches were operable. It was just too much. I just didn't enjoy it. But back then, I think the longest flight I did was out to Japan, and that was something like 18 plus hours. But I felt I cheated. I felt. So I did
United 25 contact
everything
Shannon
from
Center on 131.15.
Heathrow,
Good day.
out through Europe, out into
GBLB 174 climb and maintain flight level 290.
290. That's our cruising altitude.
131.15 for United 25.
Climb and maintain flight level 290 GBELV 174.
And that I did all of the Europe out into, and it's still Europe, isn't it? Russia, over Russia. Most of those flights in the cockpit, which was easy to do because it was desktop, looking at a HD screen, so pancake mode, not in VR. So you could, I could also like look at my tablet and read and listen to music and look around and get up and walk to the toilet, role playing the fact that I left the flight deck with the co-pilot in command. But then overnight I could disconnect from VATSIM, go to sleep real world, so again definitely the co-pilot in command, but still have the plane flying, and then wake up the next day, take care of my hygiene, and bio breaks and all that stuff, get back in the cockpit, log back into VATSIM, and then complete the flight. So 18 hours, but I probably did, let's say 8 hours. 8, let's say 10 hours maximum actually at the controls. Whereas, oh, that's a lovely view. Whereas this has felt just much more authentic. I've always wanted to pilot piston or turboprops, turboprops preferably, and to fly VFR and get really good at my VFR, and to do longer journeys IFR, but again turboprop. So to have done, how far we got, I think 16 hours worth on the outward leg. So the Milan to Wolverhampton to
Shannon
Vargo,
Center speedbird 180 is at flight level tree 55 climbing flight level tree 60.
Iceland to
Speedbird 180 Shannon Center, continue to augment as planned.
and then we did 2 hops across Canada, then down to, we got as far as where did we get to? Then we got to Charleston, North Carolina. We might have had to do 2 hops to get there, but those are all like 3-hour, 4-hour max flights. So that's what, 7, 8. So yeah, we still block time, not necessarily flight time, block time. We still managed to do maybe 24, 25, 26, maybe 27 hours seat time. We might even have pushed it up to 30 hours seat time if we count all of the, maybe even higher actually, counting all of the pre-flight checks, because it took
United
a while
921
to
contact
become
Shannon Center on 131.15.
a bit more fluid
Good day.
with the checks. So I kept losing my place when looking down, wasn't able to preempt what would be coming next. I couldn't do checks in multiple, a bit more fluid than
for
it now.
United
And then also
921.
the first flights didn't have the TDS module for the GTN 750. I think it was the PMS one, so couldn't do like the checklist on the GTN. Is that waypoint still locked? Let me just double check. No, waypoint Points cleared. So yeah, so probably 30 hours, let's say, block times. Pre-flight, cold and dark to cold and dark, our last flight that we managed to get into Charleston. And then on the way back, like I said, the flights all the way from Buenos Aires to Chile to Ecuador, Honduras to Raleigh to St. John's, Canada, then that North Atlantic, all of those were 5-hour, 6-hour or 7-hour flights, trip time. So again, block time for a couple, they were 8. So that's way above 30 hours seat time. And that's the most time I've aviated, and doing it all in the turboprop is a real sense of achievement for me. That distance, I've never tried to fly that distance turboprops, never. So to be where we are now, this absolute
Quality 10
gorgeous
descend
day,
and maintain flight level 340.
we're at flight level 290, so I haven't done my 10,000 feet checks nor transition altitude checks. I've been doing them whilst talking, as in looking, but some of them, so no smoking and seatbelt sign can come off. Landing lights we did already. Cabin pressure has been checked quite a few times and it's all good. And then altimeter we just checked and set before we get to our flight level. So our next one is the descent, or the cruise actually, when we'll turn the auto feather off, we'll check the ITT.
Quality 10 descend and maintain flight level 340.
But yeah, so to be on this final leg, we're at flight level 257 at the moment. Visibility
Descend and maintain flight level 340, quality 10.
altitude, traffic 2 o'clock high contrail. And visibility is that it might be a bit hazy, but we have clear sight of the ground. We could be doing VFR at this altitude. That's amazing. We could be doing VFR at this altitude. We've got visibility laterally above 5,000 meters. Definitely above 5,000 meters. We can see almost to the horizon. We can see to the horizon, but I mean ground level we can see almost to the horizon, and we have 8 kilometers plus forward visibility. We're definitely contrails 10 o'clock high, so we're definitely clear of any traffic conflicts as well. So I'm happy, I'm really happy. We're going to land at Bristol. We're going to go cold and dark, do a debrief. I'll have plenty of time to relax. It's 19:05 UTC, well that's local time actually, so it's 18:05 UTC. Plenty of time to sit down, relax, do like a whole self debrief. Could even get in the initial exploratory recce laps around Castle Combe. And I'm going to be a little bit disappointed. Not disappointed, disappointed is wrong word. Not disappointed. I'm going to miss the fact that we don't need to do this whole busman's holiday and be disciplined to do a flight every day after work, 2 double stint flights Saturdays and Sundays, to make up the time needed to get us back. It's another one of those only gamers can appreciate the fact that you would make yourself do this all real time,
Speedbird 180 descend and maintain flight
just
level
as
tree
part of
60.
a role-playing exercise, a self-imposed role-playing exercise. But it's all part of that virtual living out life in the what everyone is now calling metaverse. So after this, I need to double check to see which race is after Castle Combe. It's definitely in Europe, so I'm sure that there's no need for a marathon journey to fly to the next one. Don't need to do the flight until maybe the Saturday before the race. Depends on if I want to do the same thing of no track time until we've flown, but that might make less sense because
Speedbird 180 descend and maintain flight level tree 60.
wouldn't want to spend 2 weeks, well, the 2 weeks ahead of the race virtually in that location. So I think what I will do is between then I will be building up my VFR proficiency again. Might be in the King Air or more than likely in the Piper Arrow Warrior 2, and it might well be
Speedbird 180 descend and maintain flight level tree 60.
I'm sure, I'm 99.9% certain what I will do is go back through all of the Flight Sim Academy content again. So to go back through the VFR lessons, go back through the IFR lessons, even go through the airliner ones, but I'm not too concerned about doing the airliner ones, but definitely to do the VFR lessons
Speedbird
again.
180 descend and maintain flight level tree 60.
And then also to do the bush journey lessons again as well, to put into practice VFR skills. So I've done it once through, but
Quality
not since
10 climb and maintain
upgrading
flight level tree
the
40.
graphics card to the 4019. I'm hoping that with that, the landmarks and the visual reference points are easier and clearer to make out, and that because I've done it once, now that I've also got the knee board that I can download or upload the PDFs for each of the lessons so that I can have them in VR rather than having to try and follow
Quality
the navlog
10 descend and maintain flight level tree 40.
Microsoft Flight Simulator navlog, which again didn't always work. It wasn't always cooperating. So if I can do that, I'll keep doing that over and over and over between now and the time that I am able to do the practical lessons on VATSIM for the P1 PPL license. What I then probably do is see if I could just do the lessons myself the same way I plotted my VFR flights after doing lessons up and down the UK. See if I can plan the Flight Sim Academy lessons myself, but instead of changing airframes as it did in the lessons, fly them all in my own airframes. So for the ones that are UK or continental Europe and they were done in a Cessna 172, I can just do them all in my own Just Flight PA-28 Warrior 2. And then even for the ones that are elsewhere in the world, I could probably do the same. And then for the IFR lessons that were in the King Air, rather than it being the Asobo King Air, I can do them in the Black Square Analog King Air. And then get used to like setting RNAV points in the black square one. So I'm really looking forward to it. Oh, change my temperature gauge for outside air temperature to Celsius. I don't like it being in Fahrenheit. So yeah, so here we are, flight level 290. ITT temperatures look good. They're below 760, let alone 860. Torque is at around 40% for each engine. Prop RPM is below 1600, but we only just below, so let's bring the props back to 80% from 85. And there we go, so we're now at about 1580. NG is around 80%, and fuel flow is looking good, and our oil pressure and temperatures are all in the green. We can turn off. No, we're going to leave on the beacon and the strobe, we're going to leave on the nav, we're going to leave on the ice. We don't need it on at this point, but there's some shadow over there, so we'll leave it on just in case. Windshield anti-ice is on. We're going to leave on all of the other anti-ice. We can turn off prop sync. We can do the rest of our cruise checks, but I think we've covered them off. Cabin pressure is nice and stable. So power levers we've done, ITT we've checked, auto feather can come off. Next checks will be our descent. So fuel, we're looking good. We're going to have over 2 hours 40 minutes of reserves when we land. We have a true airspeed of 255 knots. We're planning on 220 knots. We've got 7 to, well, it's 10 now, not tailwind, up to 11. So we are looking good. ETA is going to be 1834 UTC, and so we have about 20 minutes left of the flight. Doesn't sound right. Let's check that one more time. We should have is the trip planning work calculating properly?
Virgin 137 climb and maintain flight level 400.
Saying it in local time. Yeah, we should have about 50 minutes left of the flight. Having to reset and start from the runway has just thrown it out a little bit. Excuse me.
Virgin 137 climb and maintain flight level 400. Portugalia 1324, you are 69er miles south. Descend and maintain 9,000 feet. Expect ILS runway 10 right approach via Omawi transition. Cleared to Omawi.
The glare shield in this is quite high, so you don't really get much of a view over the brow unless you sit up.
Portugalia 1324, you are 66 miles south. Descend and maintain flight level 200. Expect ILS runway 10 right approach via Omawi transition. Cleared to Omawi.
And keep an
Portugalia
eye
1324, descend and maintain 13,000 feet.
to gauges.
Portugalia 1324, descend and maintain 7,000 feet.
But it
Portugalia
does mean that
1324,
as you
descend
look
and
at
maintain
the
4,000 feet.
VOD of this flight, you get to see what I saw, which isn't a lot out the window unless we look left and right or up over the brow.
Descend and maintain 4,000 feet. Expect ILS runway 10 right approach via Omawi transition. Cleared to Omawi Portugalia 1324. Virgin 137, descend and maintain flight level 400. Climb and maintain flight level 400, Virgin 137.
I'm convincing myself that the issues were by me turning on the replay, by leaving it this time without jinxing myself. It seems
Shamrock 723, descend and maintain 14,000 feet.
that everything is nice and stable, but I'll see when I watch the capture.
Ryanair 4776, descend and maintain 14,000 feet. Shamrock 723, descend and
Traffic
maintain
11 o'clock
13,000
high
feet.
coming towards us, is it? Separation is significant, so should be no traffic conflicts. Looking forward
Shamrock
to
723,
replacing
descend and maintain 12,000 feet.
this Pimax 8KX with big screen beyond VR that I've ordered, because we're only 50 minutes odd into this flight and it's making my head hurt already. Not eye strain, but literally suspending the weight
Shamrock 723, descend and maintain 11,000
of the
feet.
unit on my head. Means I've got to fasten it, tighten it enough so that it doesn't feel loose and wobble around and make me
Shamrock
conscious
723,
of the
descend
fact
and maintain 11,000 feet.
it's moving around. But then it means that it starts to feel a bit like a vice as it presses into the front of my forehead, or just at the back of my head. So I was looking yesterday and I saw that there are some counterweights that you can buy
Shamrock
for it.
723, descend and maintain
But
9,700
since I
feet.
pre-ordered the big screen and they're expecting to ship to rest of the world outside North America Q4, is it worth it? Is it worth it? Same thing with the lens inserts. I'm conscious that some of the blurriness that I might see isn't always just because of condensation through it getting hot and warm and the breathing beneath the lenses and causing condensation. That part of it is also my eyes watering.
Falling 8560, descend and maintain flight level 360.
Aircraft at our 10 o'clock low, very low actually. I'm trying to remember which airport is out there that they could go and approach to. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the small form factor of it. I'll sacrifice. Finally, I've relented. I will sacrifice the field of view you get in the Pimax. The field of view in the 5K.
Following 8560 descend and maintain flight level tree 60.
In the 8K was brilliant compared to the 5K. But I will give up the field of view for the flat pancake lenses, the OLED displays, that clarity, and not having a headache after an
Following
entire
8560 descend and maintain flight level tree 60.
On the other legs of this flight, the 6 hour, 7 hour legs, I've had to take the VR off after about
Descend and maintain flight level tree 60, Boeing 8560.
and monitor comms with my headphones, and then just keep an eye on the instruments on my monitor. But because this is the final flight, I don't want to do that. I don't want to take it off, sit there, miss a minute of it, or have you sat watching through just silent in cockpit. Game capture, although by now my waffling has probably turned you away from the channel. Excuse me. Just checking out that traffic up ahead as well. So that's what the entire flight is. The entire flight is checking the gauges, checking all the instruments, and keeping head on a swivel for traffic separation. We're now about to cross the Irish Sea.
Portugalia 1324, you are 22 miles southwest. Descend and maintain 4,000 feet, keep speed not above 22. Virgin 137, climb and maintain flight level 400.
Yep, ILS approach. We can actually check runway aerodrome elevation 622 feet. Check the METAR. Wind is 060 at 15 knots.
Portugalia 1324, you are 20 miles southwest. Descend and maintain 4,000 feet, keep speed not above 220 knots. Expect ILS runway 10 right approach via Oslex transition. Clear to Oslex.
We can set the localizer for ILS into runway 09 into nav 2. Into nav 1, I should say, as standby. Got 111 miles, 144 miles to go.
Mitzumachen. Natürlich gibt es Unterschiede, aber ich bin ehrlich, ich war nicht unbedingt gedacht, dass das klappt. Noch vor 2, 3 Jahren. Und das geklappt hat und dass es auch sozusagen mit dieser Fundierung geklappt hat, das finde ich durchaus bemerkenswert. Wie gesagt, es hätte auch schon ein halbes Jährchen eher sein können, aber so wie es jetzt ist, die Grundlage ist, glaube ich, gut.
Heading out over the Atlantic.
Auch die deutsche Basketballliga hat sich Nachhaltigkeitsziele gegeben. Wenn die Vereine die nicht erfüllen, dann gibt es Data.
Excuse me. Check to see what decision altitude is. $813 feet. $200 radar altitude set. Excuse me. Final approach course 087.
Virgin 26 climb and maintain flight level tree 60.
Excuse me.
Virgin 26 climb and maintain flight level tree 60. Virgin 26, Bowling 8560 climb and maintain flight level tree 60. Virgin 26, Bowling 8560 climb and maintain flight level tree 60.
Approaching our top of descent soon.
Virgin 26 climb and maintain flight level tree 60. GBLV 174 contact Manchester Center on 118.775. Good day.
.775 GBELV 174. Manchester Center GBELV 174 flight level 290.
GBELV 174 Manchester Center, continue as planned. Ryanair 5078 descend and maintain flight level 180. Descend and maintain flight level 180 Ryanair 5078.
It's the West Coast. Just up ahead.
Ryanair 5078, you are 9 or 2 miles southeast. Descend and maintain 10,000 feet. Expect ILS runway 10 right approach via Ulawi transition. Clear to Ulawi. Ryanair 5078, descend and maintain 4,000 feet.
2.
Descend and maintain 4,000 feet. Expect ILS runway 10 right approach via Ulawi transition. Clear to Ulawi Ryanair 5078.
It will come alive on nav2, and so we can fly the localizer and glide slope. Just in case visibility changes and we can't quite make out the runway from distance. Okay, traffic at our 11 o'clock low, climbing. Can't take your eye off the skies for a second. Monitoring that sim in observer mode and
Ryanair 5078 descend and maintain 16,000 feet.
Any controllers or pilots on these frequencies yet.
Descend and maintain 16,000 feet. Ryanair
Lost sight
5078.
of the aircraft. And there's the overcast clouds that were forecast in the METAR. approaching the top of the descent. And a potential divert field if necessary. Just off our nose at 2 o'clock.
Ryanair 5078, contact Shannon Center on 132.15. Good day. Going to 132.15 Ryanair 5078.
Eye out for other aircraft. Cabin pressure still looking good. All engine gauges are in the green. Generators good. Battery good. Cabin temperature steady at 21 degrees right now. Outside temperature is 46. Fuel looking good.
Manchester Center Virgin 26 is at flight level tree 60 climbing flight level tree 60. Virgin 26 Manchester Center, continue to augment as planned.
They're heading west, I think. That's close. Came out of nowhere. 9 o'clock high. ATC
GBELV 174 descend and maintain flight level 210.
Expecting that. Aviate, navigate, communicate.
Descend and maintain flight level 210 GBELV 174.
Flight idle for the descent. Came back too far. Make sure we don't overspeed the airframe. Get set up for the descent. No smoking and fasten seatbelt sign is coming on. Turn on landing lights. Set airfield elevation, which is 622 feet.
ELV 174, please expedite your descent flight level 210.
Come on, descend. So pressurization set, auto feather arm. Exterior lights are set, ice protection, let's turn on brake anti-ice, get them nice and defrosted. Altimeter we will set once we can set the airfield altimeter until we know differently. It was 3015. I'll double check that in a second. No smoking and velocity that sign is on, so let's check the airfield altimeter. (1025). Should leave it at 2992 until we pass through the transition layer. But I'm anticipating they give us another descent just as we approached flight level 210. If they don't, let's double check on the approach plates what the transition layer is. Doesn't say. Transition altitude is 5,000 feet. That's for Shannon. Bristol. Transition level is by ATC. That's why. Okay, so we'll leave it as is. Let's go back to 2992. And we'll come back to 3025 when we get our next descent call. Turn the brake anti-ice off for now. Don't want to burn them out. Give them a bit of a cycle. It's still minus 32°C outside, so if they're going to freeze up, they're going to freeze up. But we'll turn it on again before final approach. Still looking pretty decent for VFR. Broken clouds. Again, even at this altitude, we've still got clear sight of the ground, but you could easily get stuck above the cloud layer. You don't want to try racing the cloud cover. Could easily get trapped above it. I was watching a YouTube video of a real life pilot who had exactly that problem. Came up through a gap in the clouds, VFR, could still see the ground, and then very quickly the gap disappeared and was stuck above the clouds for a significant enough period of time to cause him cause for concern, until another gap appeared and was able to descend back below the cloud cover and had a lessons learned moment. But this is what's amazing about Flight Simulator 2020, the fidelity of the ground images is so much better than any of the other versions before it. Makes VFR flight so much easier. Not easy, easier. 65 miles. Fuel looking good, in level flight. Engine gauges are all in the green, all in temps. Oil temps and pressures are in the green. Oxygen still looks good, pneumatics still looks good, gyro looks good, all of the co-pilot and pilot.
Ryanair 121 descend and maintain flight level 240.
Pressure is descending. Everything is good. Gen low is
GBELV 174 descend and maintain 11,000 feet.
was expecting that. Acknowledge it.
Descend and maintain 11,000 feet, GBELV 174.
Throttle back to idle.
Ryanair 7135 descend and maintain flight level 240.
The aircraft will pitch to maintain
Descend and maintain flight level 240 Ryanair
minimum of at
7135.
least 10 knots below the barb pole, so as not to exceed the never exceed speed for the airframe. Yeah, look at that.
Ryanair 7135 traffic is 1 o'clock 4 miles at flight level 360 generic.
That's not us.
Report them in sight. Chanix 541 traffic is 10 o'clock 3 miles at flight level 340 generic. Report them in sight. Ryanair 7135 traffic alert. 1 o'clock less than 1 mile flight level 360 generic. Report them in sight.
Sounds close.
Chanix 541 traffic in sight. Ryanair 7135
Gonna
have the
set
generic in sight.
3025. See if ATC challenges our altitude. Bring on emergency lights. It's getting a bit dark in here. Cabin lights will leave at dim, but we'll bring on the master lights. (12,300 feet), descending to 11,000 feet. I expect we will get another altitude assignment soon. 51 miles out, bringing throttles forward. Up in my seat, just scanning for traffic as we're approaching the cloud layer. Bring up the floodlights a little bit. Okay, we are going to get a call to descend soon because Bristol Airport is just up at our 11 o'clock. So let's check. Landing lights, nav lights, recognition beacon, strobe are all on. Anti-ice is set. Let's put the brake anti-ice on. Auto ignition is on. Okay. Auto feather is armed. Gen loads good. Battery amps good. Bus frequency good. Co-pilot circuit breakers. Pilot circuit breakers all good. Engine temps, torque, prop, RPM, NG, fuel flow, oil temps and pressures all good. Gyro, pneumatic good. In the green, as is oxygen pressure. Sunset approaching. It's getting darker. Five to 8.
Portugalia 1315 climb and maintain flight level 360. Climb and maintain flight level 360 Portugalia 1315.
Okay. Airport is ahead of us. Let's get our approach checklist. 37 miles out.
Ryanair 9061 tree traffic is 1 o'clock 4 miles at flight level 350 generic.
Fuel balance.
Report them in sight.
Check. No
Portugalia
smoking.
1315 traffic is 5 o'clock 4 miles at flight level 360 generic.
Set.
Report them in sight.
Decision altitude already. So it's the before landing check. We will check our landing gear, exterior lights again. Ice protection
Portugalia
is set.
1315 traffic in sight.
Is set. Propeller sync is off. Cabin pressure search just.
Ryanair 9061 have the
Landing
generic
gear
in sight.
that we will check again. Ahead of landing. $34 miles. We'll throttle forward just a little bit. We're doing 180 knots indicated. Let's take it up to 200 as long as we stay below 210. Okay, so let's check.
GBELV 174 contact. Bristol approach on 136.08. Good day.
136.8.
136.08 for GBELV 174.
Let's check in. Try that again.
Bristol approach GBELV 174, 11,000 feet.
GBLV 174 Bristol approach altimeter 30.27. Continue to Bravo Charlie November as planned.
27.
GBLV 174 descend and maintain 3,000 feet.
Expecting that 3,000 feet. Acknowledge the instruction.
Descend and maintain 3,000 feet, GBELV 174.
Idle. Okay, so it's going to be landing gear check. We're going to have flaps, cabin differential is coming to airfield elevation. Power levers we will check and monitor. Propeller levers, let's put to full forwards. Autopilot will disconnect when ready. Your breakers ready. Prop levers, power levers. Okay. So it's going to be landing gear to check.
GBLV 174, you are 25 miles west. Keep speed not above 185 knots. Expect ILS runway 09er approach via Bravo Romeo India transition. Cleared to Bravo Romeo India.
Acknowledged.
Keep speed not above 185 knots. Expect ILS runway 09er
Runway
approach
is
via
just
Bravo
across the
Romeo
channel.
India transition. Cleared to Bravo Romeo India GBELV 174.
We're going to have a straight in approach. We're heading track 110. Approach course, final approach course is 087. Once we level out, we'll go to approach flaps. Landing lights are on, nav lights on, recognition lights on, beacon strobe are on. Flaps are up at the moment, landing gear is up at the moment. Anti-ice is set. Prop sync can come is off. Auto feather is armed. Auto ignition is armed. Airspeed coming back to 180, flaps to approach. $17 miles. May have imagined it, but I thought I just saw the approach lights up ahead. Runway should be at our 12 o'clock, 16 miles. Propellers are full forward, flaps are at approach, landing gear is currently up, landing lights are on, anti-ice protection is set, auto ignition is armed, auto feather is armed, fuel balance looks good. Okay, those approach lights up ahead. What was that? Well, it's like 13 miles, 14 miles. Nav 2. Okay. Needles are live. Autopilot disconnecting. We are left 12 miles. Yep, there are the approach lights. So we're going to come right, intercept the localizer. Throttle's coming back. Could do a visual approach from here. I think there's another aircraft either on approach or climb out. Okay, let's level off to intercept the glide slope. Start as soon as you see the needle come alive.
GBLB 174, you are 1,000 feet below your assigned altitude. Climb and maintain 3,000 feet altimeter, 30.27.
Okay.
Climb and maintain 3,000 feet, GBEL 174.
My bad. There's the runway. Needle is live, so we're going to turn left and intercept the localizer. To inbound course 080. Slightly right. Flaps to landing. Landing gear coming down. 3 greens. Glide slope is coming down to meet us. We are on final. Landing gear down, flaps at full flaps. We are 7 miles out. Established on the localizer. All sunsets coming over our left shoulder.
GBLV 174, you are 600 feet below your assigned altitude.
That's because
Climb and
I'm on
maintain
approach.
3,000 feet altimeter, 30.27.
You cleared me to approach.
Climb and maintain 3,000 feet, GBLV 174.
Going to cancel IFR because ATC has lost the plot.
Bristol approach, GBELV 174. Cancel
go
IFR
VFR.
at this time.
We're above the glide slope now.
GBLV 174 IFR flight plan is canceled. Radar service terminated. Squawk 7000. Maintain VFR. Frequency change approved. Good day.
And
Bristol approach, GBELV 174 is type Beechcraft King Air, 6 miles west of Bristol, 2,400 feet. Request flight following.
nope, we don't need flight following.
GBLV 174 Bristol approach. Squawk 2602.
My fault. We'll acknowledge that, but we're going to cancel it again
Squawk 2602, GBELV 174.
because
GBLV 174 radar contact 5 miles west of Bristol, 2,100 feet. Altimeter 30.27.
we are on final approach.
Roger, GBELV 174.
And we are on glide slope on the localizer. Landing gears down, flaps are at landing, flaps, landing lights are on. Parking brake is off. We're on the PAPI. We're on the glide slope. Crosswind's starting to try to push us offline, compensating. Left wing down. Approach profile still looking good, 3 degrees. We're a little high now. Okay, back on glide slope. There's another aircraft departing. We're a little high. Back on the glide slope. Decision altitude passed. Tracking runway centerline. On the glide slope, 3 degrees. Compensating for the crosswind. Throttle's coming back to idle. Flare. Floating. Touchdown. And throttle's coming back to reverse. We are at Bristol. Throttle's coming out. Flaps coming up. Put the engines to low idle so that they don't try to overspeed us on the ground. It's cool ground. We'll follow the taxiway to parking. And that's it, we've arrived. We are in Bristol. We can now officially start pre-qual and practice ahead of this weekend's
Ryzen 90 Golf ready for push and start. Ryzen 90 Golf, Roger, stand by on number 1.
for this weekend's
Jet set 54 Quebec, ready for taxi. Jet set 54 Quebec, taxi holding point Golf X-ray for runway 09. Taxi holding point Golf X-ray for runway 09, jet set 54 Quebec.
round.
Ryzen 90 Golf after the jet set A321 taxis away to your left. Push and start is approved. Face east on the inner apron, not on Zulu. After jet set A321 has gone left, push back approved. Face east on the inner apron.
And now that we're at Bristol, that Sim ATC has come alive.
Bristol Tower level 47 Bravo Zulu, Airbus 320 stand 2, request Alpha clearance to Zurich, information at Combe.
Okay.
7 Bravo Zulu, Bristol Tower, very good evening. Your flight plan is not quite correct. Can you accept a Yorkie departure?
7 Bravo Zulu, stand by, I'll call it back.
Yankee Oscar Romeo Quebec, India.
Check, 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 check. Auto ignition off.
So 7 Bravo Zulu, negative
Exterior
recount
lights,
accepted.
landing lights can come off.
Roger, stand by. I'm going to send you a slight reroute anyway.
Off. Strobe can come off. Tail
Thank you very
flap
much.
can come off.
7 Bravo Zulu.
Flaps are up. Cabin altitude equalized. Weather radar to standby. First of all, let's check the state of the engines. 96%, 98%, and any failures. Any active failures? No.
Swiss 9 Bravo Zulu, send you the text, just report if you are able to accept that reroute.
Parking brake is set. Auto feather is off. Exterior lights are as required. Oxygen for passengers pushed in. Emergency lights are on.
Stand by, we're fighting away from Poland, I'll call it back. 7 Bravo Zulu.
Roger.
AC inverters can come off. Cabin master can come off. Cabin accessories can go to off. Cabin lights, we'll leave them at dim.
Jet set 54 Quebec, surface wind 070 degrees, 16 knots, runway 09, clear for takeoff.
Clear for takeoff, runway 09, jet set 54 Quebec.
Lower is at low. Temperature mode to off. Bleed air to environ off. Aft blower is off. Electric heat is off. ITT stabilized. Power levers to flight idle.
Bristol Tower, Ryanair 13625 miles west.
Condition levers to cut off.
Ryanair 1362, Bristol Tower. Altimeter 30.27, wind 071 at 16. Cleared ILS
Power levers. Alright. Okay, so first of all, prop levers to feather.
Ryanair 1362.
Electrical switches to off.
Jet set 54 Quebec, contact London Control 126.075. Enjoy your flight, bye-bye.
See if I can have the torch.
That's London Control 126.075, and thanks again. Jet set 54 Quebec, see ya.
Yeah.
Ryanair 1362.
Lighting masters off, parking brake is set, emergency lights can come off, then the gang par can go down. And we can turn off the avionics before the gang bar, just because if we turn off the avionics, it turns off the checklist. Okay, so we are all done. Before we do this, let's just send a log. It's exporting. Okay, it's sent.
Swiss 7 Bravo Zulu. If you haven't got your key, it's not that critical. You can still go on Wotan. What I've done is...
Gang bar can come down. Windshield anti-ice, I knew I'd left that to off. Electrical switches, make sure they're all off. Now the engines are off, beacon can come off. That's it, we're here, we're in Bristol. Thank you for anyone that gave some moral support as we did this. Quite an achievement. We're getting a flash of a strobe, and it's not our strobe. Yeah, so that's Buenos Aires into Chile, into Ecuador, into Honduras, into Raleigh, North Carolina, into St. John's International, Canada, straight across to Shannon Island, and now here we are, Bristol, ahead of this weekend's Historic Sim Racing Organisation's Gold Star event at Castle Combe. Thank you everyone that joined us on this flight and this series of flights. We will see you on track.